Hey guys, so today I have a video about dating your friend's ex, and I wanted to kind of go through my experiences with this and kind of what I think. My thoughts on this have kind of changed just as I've actually kind of gone through this and kind of have experienced different scenarios surrounding this topic. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and then of course have your feedback in the comments about what you guys think, because I think this is a very kind of controversial topic and everyone kind of has a different opinion about it. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in so you guys can kind of see where I'm coming from. My first experience with this was actually with my first long-term relationship, and so that was back when I dated Justin, and we had been dating for probably like a year and a half, like a very long time in my opinion at least. And we actually ended up breaking up because I realized that he was cheating on me with one of my best friends at the time. And that whole scenario really kind of changed my whole thought on girls and dating and relationships and trust. I think it was because I was very young, so it just was like the first big like traumatic breakup that I had had, and it really just really affected me, and I was really upset about it for a long time. And now looking back on it, I see a lot of different points that I didn't really realize at the moment. So the biggest thing for me, I guess I'll kind of like explain a little bit about it. But so basically we had been dating, and this girl was one of my really good friends. She always kind of hung out with Justin and I and our other group of friends, and like we would sit together at lunch, we would go out on the weekends together, we were always together as like a group. And so when I ended up actually leaving the high school and I ended up doing online schooling, she, still hung around Justin and still hung around his friends, and she was still always there with him. So eventually he went to summer school and they were in summer school together, and I wasn't there, and I really was completely blindsided by this, but I learned that they had actually been like hooking up and secretly like getting together behind my back, and I heard it from other people that heard her talk about it, and then they kind of brought it to me. And at first I honestly I didn't believe it at all. Like I was like, there's no way that's possible, like she's my best friend, like, him and I have a good relationship, like that's not possible. And I actually confronted both of them to their faces, and I just looked them straight in the eye, and I was like, are you guys like secretly getting together behind my back? And they completely shut it down. They're like, there's no way that's going on, we would never do that to you. And they kind of acted as if I was a little bit crazy for even suspecting that. And the way that they kind of twisted it on me, I felt like, I was like, yeah, like why would I ever think that they would do that to me? That's insane. So long story short, I figured out that they actually were together, and he was cheating on me with her, and this had been going on for a long time. And she had been texting him saying that she wanted him to leave me and be with her and they could date and all this stuff. And that was why we ended up breaking up, and that was a huge dramatic thing in my life, and I just felt really betrayed, and I felt so upset that they both lied to me and no one came to me. And I figured out that other people kind of in our group kind of knew it was maybe going on, or they suspected it. Didn't say anything to me about it, but I kind of realized later on that people just didn't want to get involved and they didn't think it was their place and whatever. So basically from that standpoint, in that situation, I really would have rather one of them was honest with me and upfront that they wanted to be together, even though they knew it probably wouldn't go over well with me, because obviously she was my friend and he was my boyfriend at the time. And it ended up, they didn't end up like dating or anything, and it kind of just was something that ripped up my relationship with her and then really caused problems with him and I further on when we did get back together. That whole cheating scenario was just something that really kind of tore apart our relationship, and it just never was the same after that. And I know a lot of people talk about, once you break up, it just never is the same, and especially if it's something for like a big reason like that. So that was kind of my first scenario with someone dating my ex, or my current boyfriend at the time. Obviously we broke up and they continued to hang out, but then nothing really came of it. So the next scenario is actually something that happened really recently, and I actually went on a date with this guy, and it was a nice date, but we ended up kind of realizing, both of us, like mutually, that we just didn't really get along that well. We both had very strong personalities, which might sound weird because you guys might think of me as pretty quiet and kind of more like understated and whatever from my videos, but in my like thoughts and my morals and beliefs and stuff, I am very strong in that, and I do kind of, not to say I won't compromise, but I just have my set ways, and I have the ways that I think are right and correct for me. So when I have someone else that's also very strong-willed and strong-minded, we kind of clash, and it just didn't work out. So him and I ended up, we went out, it wasn't really that big of a deal, and we just kind of left it at that. So a little bit later on down the road, I ended up meeting his roommate, and his roommate was completely the opposite of him. They were nothing alike, and I actually really got along with his roommate very well, and I really liked his roommate, which was something that I didn't expect, and it just kind of happened naturally, and I really did have feelings for him. I got the feeling that he kind of felt it too, whatever, and it was going well, and it got to the point where we kind of had a discussion about where this was going, and he pretty much basically said that he never thought we could seriously date because of his roommate, because I had met his roommate first, and that was just kind of off limits in like bro code and guy friends and stuff like that. And I understand where he's coming from, because in the same scenario, before I had ever had a situation with my friend getting with my ex, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, I would have never ever in a million years dreamed to go date someone that one of my good friends had dated or one of my good friends had liked or whatever. It just was something that in my mind was just kind of like, you don't do it, it doesn't happen. And so when this happened, it really flipped the scenario for my mind, and I could see it from another point of view, which I think was really interesting, because I kind of felt like, wow, like this is unfair, like you and I get along better than him and I did, yet you don't think you can date me because of him. And it kind of made me look at the whole scenario with Justin and my friend and the cheating thing, and it made me kind of realize, like, maybe that's how they felt, maybe that's what was going on in their mind, and maybe I should have been you know, still hurt by the fact that I was lied to and that they weren't honest with me, but I could at least kind of see it from that standpoint. So the main thing that I think is really important to kind of assess if you can have a relationship with someone that has previously dated your friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend is to just see how long they dated for and how recently they broke up. And I found with pretty much everything, especially with heartbreak and love and that kind of stuff, time does heal almost all wounds, and eventually you will get over it, eventually the other person will get over it. It's just kind of a matter of time before that happens, and there's no like correct set amount time that like, oh, they broke up 2 months ago, therefore it's completely okay to date them and, you know, everything's gonna be fine. It doesn't really work like that, and you just kind of have to ask the other person or ask your friend and just kind of feel it out. And I think the biggest thing is being honest and, you know, communicating how you feel. And while, you know, your friend may say, look, I really don't want you to date my ex, you know, I'm still involved with them, I still have feelings that are not sorted out yet, can you respect that, whatever. I think that if you are open and honest with them, it really does say something about your character instead of just going behind their back and kind of skirting the issue because you don't want to get involved in the drama. And the biggest thing is, you know, it's really hard to lose someone's friendship over also dating someone else. And, you know, that was one of the really rough things with that scenario, was that not only did I break up with my boyfriend, I also lost a friend of mine because I felt like I had just been so deceived and lied to that it just really didn't feel like a solid friendship anymore. And my last scenario that I want to share is actually when I was put in this situation and what I did to kind of resolve it. So this very last scenario, I had a good friend of mine, and she had gone out on a date with a guy, and she didn't really make a big deal of it at all. She had mentioned it, but not really, I guess, and I don't think they really further went out or anything, and she, you know, went out with other guys and whatever, but I actually became interested in the guy that she had gone out with previously, and I think they had gone out like 4 or 5 months before I started talking to him, and I made it a point to actually ask her if it was okay, and not to say that I felt like she owned him or I felt like they still were in a relationship or they were still dating or anything. It was more of just kind of an act of respect because I did care for her and I still wanted to have her friendship, but I also wanted to like this guy and get to know him, and I just felt like that was the right thing to do, and if the scenario had been flipped, that's how I would want someone to treat me. And after talking with her, she reassured me that, you know, they just didn't really hit it off and they were definitely done, you know, flirting, whatever, and it was totally fine and like an okay for me to go and get to know him. So I just felt really resolved and peaceful about that. Whereas if, you know, I had avoided talking to her because I felt awkward or uncomfortable, I would have always just felt like I was doing something behind her back, and eventually when she would find out, I would think she would have kind of the right to be a little upset and a little hurt that I didn't mention it to her. So I think basically the biggest things on dating an ex or having someone date your ex is just be honest. Whether you're the one who wants to date them or you have a friend that wants to date your ex, just be honest about how you're feeling in the moment. And also realize that friendships are really important and you don't want to ruin them over dating someone, but you definitely need to be upfront and kind of forward with what's going on and how you're feeling. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave me your comments and your thoughts on this topic below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!